pool versus everybody, so it looks to be true. Maybe not as bad as it was made to look at first, but our assistant, Zeljko Buvac, is going to be out for the rest of the season. Sound familiar? So we're losing players to injury, um, and we're about to lose Klopp's right hand man. And you know, uh, it does make you wonder. This is, needless to say, a pretty strange, peculiar time to choose to step down. Personal reasons. Listen, you can imagine what that could be. It could be a lot of things. But it's just so kind of random and all of a sudden doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Um, so it makes me wonder for sure. And it's sort of another distraction that to me just isn't needed, you know. And so it's kind of unfortunate, and that's from a fan's point of view looking in. So maybe it's not a distraction for the players. I would hope I'm wrong about that, but I don't see what could really be a positive from this. But you know, it's the second leg of a really important Champions League tie. There are other managers there. Surely we can pick up and keep it moving, right? So we'll see. Something just doesn't seem right there. And of course, there's rumors about some kind of beef that they've had, and maybe it's just kind of boiled over and you know come to a head, and this is the outcome of it. I will say I can't remember the last time I saw him celebrating with that coach on the sideline after a goal. Now that's just my recollection, what I can remember. Maybe he did, but I do now thinking back, trying to figure out if there's any truth to this whole riff and him not being invited to meetings and then being separate in training and yada yada yada. I don't know. I don't know. But it's just one more thing, you know. If it's not an injury, it's something else, you know. And then we have this Salah went under the radar, but he threw out a punch, a swing, something. He tried to make contact. It looked like with Bruno Martinzindi, the player from Stoke. Now look, that game was it was a game where Stoke had one thing on their mind, and that was to be really physical, to maybe leave a few things late, to try to see how they can get away with the rules or flex the rules a little bit. And it looked like the ref was pretty much game for that. Almost like they had an agreement before the game started. They were allowed to get away with a lot. And you can see where there might have been some frustration from Mo Salah. Mo Salah is human, although a lot of us want to say he's not. And listen, I'm not here to cast any, you know, negative things about Mo Salah or who he is as a man or whatever, but he is human. And this is what happened. You know, we like to look at certain players as being like these squeaky clean. Oh, he can do no wrong. He's such a great guy. Looks, first of all, none of us know him. That's number one. Two, he is human, and he had a moment where he, you know, he had a reaction. Okay, he had been tugged on, grabbed on. I don't know what part of the game that was, honestly, though, so I can't even tell you, you know, what led up to that. But I know watching the game, he was going through a lot with their players and just how they were allowed to do all these things to him. So, yeah, they had a moment. He had a moment. And, you know, obviously there's a chance that they could, um, you know, discipline him in some way. He could miss some games in Champions League. Not Champions League, sorry, Premier League, which would probably leave him out of the Brighton and Chelsea game. I wouldn't be surprised, only because we've been getting a raw deal a lot of this season, and it wouldn't surprise me on that that aspect in that aspect. But it is interesting. There's no retroaction to Hagazi, who had a terrible game as far as you know, committing fouls, things after the play, unnecessary, you know, flinging of the arms, all type of stuff. It's crazy. So uh, that probably won't get looked at. But we're talking about Salah because Salah is having the season that he is, and that's probably why it's more highlighted. Hagazi, as good as he is just not some guy that's in the spotlight right now. So Yeah, I don't look. I don't know if there's anything. I don't think there's any real word on it, but there's definitely rumors about it, and some of this footage coming out and people talking about it. So I don't know. Again, I hope that that's not the case. We will see. Salah seems to be having some other issues as well at the field with the Egyptian FA and his image rights. With some kind of beef he's having with them, and it's possible. I don't see it happening, but he might not play in the World Cup for Egypt. Uh, his lawyers getting involved, and the image rights, and he's just not on board with how Egypt is portraying him, or not portraying him, but putting his image out there in front of the or on the outside of the plane and things of that nature. So you feel like Salah is one of those guys that's very humble, quiet, and likes to keep to himself. Is not too maybe a very private in a way, not too flashy and things of that nature. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's a lot of this I think could be just people wanting to put this negative stuff out there because it's Liverpool. I know the guy Duncan Castles who linked the story of the assistant manager leaving. People wanted to kind of attack him, but he seems to be right now. And I think initially we thought that was it, and he still might be. Maybe he's gone for good, but for now we know that's just to the end of the season. So just nothing, none of this stuff we really need. But it is what it is. So we need to persevere and just keep battling like we've been doing. Nothing really different there. Just got to keep fighting in light of these kind of negative things that are coming out, and these attempts to kind of you know interrupt the positivity that we have in the squad. So um, just coming with that. Not much more. Hopefully, there's no more unnecessary negative or awful news that comes up between now and Wednesday. I think we've had enough of it. So thanks, Liz, for hanging out with me this morning here, and we will be back between now and Wednesday. See you then.